Benslimane, who is joining us from a company called Stripe Atlas. It's part of Stripe, and they help international founders get established here in the United States. So very aligned with our mission, and he's going to discuss new market expansion. Thank you all.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today to talk to you about market expansion. Why market expansion? Market expansion is one of the most exciting and challenging things you will work on as part of your company growth. I would like to start by inviting you to read a short excerpt from a company postmortem published on LinkedIn by Chip CEO Kevin Gibbon. I tasked the team with expanding geographically and dreaming up innovative features and growth tactics. I realized that dramatic changes needed to be made if SHIP had any hope of surviving. We suspended operations in all markets except San Francisco. SHIP was a company started in San Francisco in 2013. They had a great mission of simplifying shipping services. And they had a great growth in their 5 years of existence. They raised over $60 million from prominent investors. Yet, the company shattered in March 2018. As you can read here, SHIP expanded geographically. But as soon as things started to go sour for them, they exited the markets they expanded to. Just like SHIP, many startups find it very difficult to expand to other markets. According to CB Insights, 9% of startups that failed cited market expansion as one of the reasons for their demise. Large corporations also find it difficult to expand to other markets. Companies such as McDonald's, Starbucks, or Uber had their stories with market expansion. Who would have thought that there would be consumers that would resist the temptation of a white chocolate mocha or a Big Mac? Yet, McDonald's found it very hard to enter some Caribbean markets, such as Jamaica. Starbucks found it very difficult to compete with local coffee shops in Australia. And I'm sure you all heard about Uber's struggles in Southeast Asia and China. The company found it very difficult to compete with the likes of Didi and Grab in these markets. Today, I would like to take you on a journey around the world. A journey to tell you about a few things to watch out for if you decide to expand to other markets. But before embarking on that journey, I would like to tell you about my own journey. My name is Ali Benslimane. I was born and raised in Morocco, and at the age of 17, I moved to Europe, where I lived in France and Ireland. Almost 5 years ago, I moved to San Francisco, where I settled. As you can see, I keep going farther and farther from home. My mom thinks I'm running away from her, but I'm just getting a step closer to this paradise island in Fiji or Hawaii. So stay tuned for that, it's coming. As an immigrant myself, I'm very excited to be here with you today to tell you about some of the learnings gleaned throughout my career around market expansion. I spent most of my career at Google, where I worked on various software and hardware products. I worked on Drive, Gmail, and Calendar for businesses, better known as G Suite today. I worked on Nexus smartphones. I worked at Motorola when the company was acquired by Google. And I also worked on Google Cloud, specifically on data centers. Over a year ago, I left Google and joined Stripe to work specifically on Stripe Atlas. Stripe Atlas is a turnkey solution to help entrepreneurs all over the world get their business off the ground. In just a little over 2 years, we already helped thousands of companies from over 130 countries get their business started. And things are just getting started. We're hoping to support a lot more in the future. But enough talking about myself. Let's start the journey I promised you. Our first destination of the trip is going to be Japan. When I was at Google in 2015, we were working on the Nexus 6P. The Nexus 6P is a smartphone we built in partnership with the Huawei, the Chinese OEM. The goal of the Nexus 6P was to build a high-end device that could compete with premium devices from Apple or Samsung. So naturally, we had to be in markets where there's a strong demand for high-end devices. And Japan was one of them. When we went to Japan to try to get Nexus phones range with local mobile carriers, we learned a few things. The first thing we learned was that Japanese customers love their phones waterproof. Don't ask me why they like them waterproof. Maybe they shower with them, but they wanted them waterproof. And Nexus 6P was not waterproof, which was an interesting finding for us. But we found that out quite late, because at that point, our product features were already locked. So as a result of that, our sales got impacted a little bit. So the learning here is that if we knew these things earlier, we could have included waterproof feature as part of our product roadmap. So if you're a startup and you're thinking about expanding to new markets, make sure you collect requirements from local customers earlier on in your product lifecycle. The second learning from Japan and Nexus 6P was about focused investment. Apple and Samsung spend billions of dollars every year to market their devices. We went to market in Japan with a very small marketing budget. So it was very hard for us to get the Nexus brand in the ears and eyes of our prospective customers. So in retrospect, we could have done two things. We could have doubled down on our investments in Japan to be truly competitive with the likes of Apple and Samsung, or we could have skipped Japan completely that year and used that budget in another market that we deemed higher priority for Android and Nexus that year. So the learning here for startups is, if you're considering market expansion, start with 1 or 2 markets. Focus on those. See how that goes. Don't spread yourself too thin. If you were successful with these first 2 markets, then you could go abroad. Now, let's get our suitcase, and I want to take you to the second destination of our trip. We're going to go to India. I'm not going to tell you how the Taj Mahal was built. I will tell you about my experience with Google Cloud in India. In October of last year, Google announced its first GCP, or Google Cloud Platform, region in India. This was a huge win for Google Cloud users, because thanks to this new region, their applications could get a much better latency compared to using another data center that is based in Singapore or other places in Asia. As you can imagine, building a data center is no small feat. It requires significant project management skills, a lot of rigor in planning. So whenever we were planning a new data center, we always started with something we called a TTL due diligence. You're going to ask me, what is a TTL? TTL is an acronym that stands for 3 things. The first T is for taxes, or taxes and accounting. When we were planning the data center in India, we learned that there was a tax called GST, which is a tax on domestic goods and services sold to users. So as a result of that learning, we had to change our pricing model and our revenue forecast for Google Cloud in India. So whenever you're thinking about expanding to a new market, find yourself a good accountant that understands your business and also the market you're going to enter into. The second T in TTL is for treasury. So everything about your business bank account, your funds flow, or simply how you get your money from your headquarter country to the market you're expanding to. In the case of the data center in India, just opening a bank account took us quite some time, which created a risk on our project schedule. So if you're considering expanding to a new market, find a very good bank that can understand your business and understand the specificities of the market you're expanding to. The third letter in the acronym TTL stands for legal. There are industries that are highly regulated, so you need all sort of approvals from local authorities. There are also things related to creating a legal entity in the country. In the case of the data center in India, we had the choice between using the Google India entity, the Google Singapore entity, or creating a very new entity just for Google Cloud in India. And some of these choices have very important downstream implications on your taxes and how you register your employees and things like that. So make sure you're very thoughtful about them in the start. For that, I highly advise you to find a very good lawyer who understands, again, your business, but also everything related to the new market you're expanding to. So the summary here is that when you're thinking about a new market, don't skip this step of TTL due diligence. It will save you a lot of time and cost down the line. With Stripe Atlas, we tried to tackle this specific problem for the US. So if you're an entrepreneur based in India or South Africa or other parts of the world, Stripe Atlas helps you with a few things. We help you set up an LLC or a C Corp in Delaware. We connect you with tax, accounting, and legal professionals who help you with your business. So essentially, we help you with all the things that are very important as a business infrastructure to get you started. Now let's move on to our third and final destination of the trip. We're going to go to Russia. When I was working on the growth team for G Suite, we were looking very closely at conversion data. So as you can imagine, people would come to the G Suite website, they spend some time there, they start a trial, the trial is free, and at the end of that trial, they would either convert to a paid user or they would abandon the product. Obviously, as a business, we cared a lot about those converted users. When we were looking at conversion data, we found out that Russian users had a low conversion rate compared to that for European users. So we started wondering, why is that the case? What we found out was that there was a big drop-off rate at the bidding page step. So when users come to pay us, they would drop off. When we started digging, we found out that the reason for that was because we were not supporting rubles as a currency. So we said, let's start supporting rubles. That proved quite challenging because it required a lot of juggling of legal entities. So we decided to go with an alternate route. We decided to partner with a local Russian IT company So this partner helped us in a few ways. They accepted to process rubles as a currency. They accepted to become a G Suite reseller in the country, which means that they helped us with support and also marketing the products in Russia. But most importantly, they accepted to build a product integration with G Suite, which made it very smooth and seamless for our users to pay us in rubles. So the learning here is that even a company like Google doesn't try to do everything itself. So when you are expanding to a new market, always have three options in mind: partner, build, or buy. In this example here, the partner option was a great one, and it helped speed our go-to-market. We unfortunately come to the end of our trip. I hope these tips were useful. If you have any questions or just tips for me to move to a paradise island, feel free to shoot me an email. Thank you.